Hi, everybody. Welcome here. Speak Up Monday, right here at Tropical Nomad. So tonight is episode 411, and tonight is all about real estate in Bali, or actually Bali/Indonesia at large. So we have an incredible panel of experts in various areas. So now tonight is about the expat version. Just in case you're wondering at the panel thinking, hang on a second, if you're in Bali, where are the Balinese, where are the Indonesians? That's coming in an upcoming episode, and then at the end we'll mix and match it. So I'll let these guys introduce themselves shortly, but before we do that, so as you mentioned before, Speak Up Monday. We're here every Monday at Tropical Nomad. You can come, you can join us, you can join our feeds to find out what's going on. Next week is a health tourism special. So the first Monday of every month is about health tourism here in Bali. A great collaboration with Health Hub Bali and Tracy G. So look out for that one. Now, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick. I'm the founder of Speak Up Monday, Destination Indonesia. Also, I am the founder of RIB and Associates, which is a growth strategist here in Indonesia. And simply three things. So one is, how do we strategize? Two is, how do we super connect or connect people together? And three, how do we create and nurture long-term projects which are valuable and profitable? So that's what we do, okay? So now tonight I'm excited because not only did I not get the memo about the dress code, black guy wearing black, everyone else wearing white. You can laugh, it's okay. It's politically correct, it's fine. Normally it's the other way around, but anyway, that's okay. So tonight is interesting because, and they will introduce themselves very shortly, but what we have, so we have, Robert over here from GORO. So GORO is basically the largest company in Indonesia that has cracked the code on how to fractionalize property investment. Okay, 56,000 users, 99% are Indonesian, which I think is fantastic, right? Reda Badia, my brother, North Africa and Algeria. So now Reda is managing director of Emma Hub Bali. So as you know, Emma Hub, when it comes to foreign companies moving into areas, moving into markets, they need a whole suite of services. This is what Reda does. Then we have Sheila, thank God you came, keeping us all honest, the beautiful woman amongst us, keeping us together. So Sheila has an incredible background. What I love, I don't know many people who put on their bio, like 2 kids, okay, I have 2 kids, I can do that. 2 dogs and 6 cats, right? In front of the fact that she's been in Vogue Living, Elle, Harper's, and all these incredible magazines around the world, when it comes to Bali interiors, right? So we're going to hear from you in a minute. And obviously, last but not least, Rasmus Holst, who got here recently. And when I looked at this guy, when you look at someone in the eye and you think this person is going to go far? Yeah, that's this guy. So now he's created such big waves with Coco developments, and he's doing some amazing things. But what I also love about him is that he's giving back, right? But it's not giving back for a media stunt, because it's part of who he is, actually, which you'll find out more and more, as everyone here is also in their own particular way giving back to this beautiful island of Bali. So even though I've kind of stolen your thunder in terms of introductions, but that's okay. So we'll start from you, Robert. Is there anything outside of what I've just said, maybe to correct me, that you'd like to let people know about before we get started?
Sure, any sales opportunity, yeah? First of all, thanks for having me. Very excited to share more about what we're doing at GORO. So we are Indonesia's largest fractional property investment marketplace. We allow anyone, both Indonesians as well as foreigners, to invest in high-yielding Indonesian property from 10,000 rupiah, which is about 83 US dollar cents. Yeah, we launched in January last year. We have about 56,000 users. And why do they come to us? It's for the consistent returns. We have consistently delivered more than 11% net rental yield per year, which we distribute every single month. So as a token holder in one of our amazing properties across Jakarta and Bali, you benefit from the monthly paid rental yield and the capital appreciation when the property is sold in 5 years. But at any time you can exit. So if you want to invest today and say, look, I need my money back in a couple of months, you can simply withdraw your funds. So we offer that full flexibility. What else?
We'll get on to what GORO stands for after, right? So if you pass the microphone to Reda, you've done this before, so I'll leave it in your hands.
I had the pleasure to be here a couple of times, so thanks again for inviting us. Thanks again to have this beautiful audience here. So my name is Reda, I'm the managing director at Emerhub. We have been in business for the last decade, assisting foreigners particularly to enter the market in Southeast Asia. Our mission statement is to lower the market barrier entry in Southeast Asia and in general in emerging markets. So we have offices in Bali, in Jakarta, in Manila, in Bangkok, in Lahore, and we are continuously expanding in Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, and Dubai this year. So that's it for me. 99% of our clients are foreigners, so we are here to assist you.
Thank you, Reda. So, Sheila, my dear, Mrs. 2 dogs, 2 kids, 6 cats, over to you.
Well, thank you for having me for the first time. So I have an online media platform where we showcase beautiful properties around Bali and surrounding islands, but our focus is actually on design and sustainability. So our focus is to showcase how can you design beautiful houses. And we are, I won't say my point of view, but I think that's it. let's just keep it there.
You did well. I mean, we can move on from there, but we're coming back to you, Sheila. So, Rasmus, over to you.
Thank you so much for having me, Robert. I really look forward to the ones that doesn't know. I'm the founder of Overdevelopment Group. So we are a full-service development and investment company on one hand, and on the other hand, we are what we call ourselves a lifestyle property brand with a big focus on our branding and our marketing, and really create the strongest investment cases for our clients here in Bali. We are about to do in 1 year what, if anyone is familiar with, for example, Alex Villas did in 6 years. We are launching in next week we launch our next lifestyle resort in Binging with 55 properties, and the month after that we are launching a big jungle resort in Capa Capa. It's going to be called Amazona Luxury Jungle Resort by Coco. And with other words, in the next 2 months we're launching more than 110 units with a complete sales value on approximately $20 million. And yeah, I'm really excited, and it's so nice to see so many beautiful people. And it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be really learningful also for myself to be here with 3 other superstars and the man in black.
I knew he wasn't going to let the man in black go. I was just waiting for it. But you know what?
It was too
But you know what? It's okay. So I had a list of questions to ask, which I left somewhere else, but that doesn't matter. They're in my head, sort of. So the first question, we'll start with you, Rob. We'll start with you, Rob. So firstly, people watching from overseas, this is Destination Indonesia, watching from all over the world, So what opportunity? You're both in Jakarta and in Bali. So what opportunity do you see for people maybe looking to invest? So this is one where you've already quoted the return that you've been achieving. But yeah, let us know do you feel is possible in Bali and Jakarta over the next 1 to 3 years, let's say?
First of all, Bali has become very big. If you go pre-pandemic, it was very much just Seminyak, Kuta, Seminyak. Some people go to Ubud, but now we have the whole area of Canggu, Perarena, Sese, Chamagi, Tanalot is now coming up as well, and lots of other areas of Bali. So I think that's quite exciting. There's more opportunities for people to invest in property. In terms of the returns, we have consistently done 11%, but there's a lot of new products coming in the market. So it'll be interesting to see where the market goes over the next kind of 6 to 12 months. It will balance itself out over time. In Jakarta, although many people probably haven't spent much time there, we also deliver about 8 to 9% net rental yield per year there. These are working class housing, so they're very simple 20 square meter apartments, as well as Kos-kosan, so they do quite well. And that market will continue to grow as more people end up moving to Jakarta and they're looking for housing there.
This is quite important. The name GORO, where does it come from and why?
I should give some credits to my co-founder, yeah? So my co-founder is a local Indonesian guy, and he actually proposed the name. So GORO stands for Gotong Royong.
So Gotong Royong. Raise your hand if you know what it means. Gotong royong. Okay, great. Raise your hand if you don't know what it means. Great. No, but this is good. We're all here to learn, right? So firstly, so we keep everyone together. Explain, if you can, what Gotong royong is for you.
I remember I was here 3 weeks ago, and Terrier had a very good explanation of this. He also went into kind of deeper levels of this. So, Gotong royong is actually very deeply ingrained in the Indonesian culture. It's all about bringing people together and work together for the greater good, which is technically what we're doing. We allow anyone to invest in property, and together we can achieve success. And that's what really what GORO stands for. And every single business decision we make, we keep that in mind. Is this really serving the people? Is this really serving a majority Indonesian users at the moment? So is this really serving what they're looking for?
And just to reiterate, so out of the 56,000 people using the platform, what percentage is Indonesian?
So far as 99% plus is Indonesian. However, we are in the process of opening an office literally 200 meters down the road from here. The reason for this is that we're getting a lot more requests from non-Indonesians who want to invest. So yeah, that's basically to serve this. So we've got Tony here, my colleague. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to him. He'll be happy to assist.
Thank you. So if you pass the microphone to Reda. So Reda, you just did an article recently in one of the Bali News, and that will be in Travel Treasures Asia as well, about the market in Bali, right? So maybe for those who didn't read that, maybe if you could sum up that article for us, I think that will serve as a good answer to that question.
Sure. I mean, basically, the article was just an overview about the actual market. Where are the foreigners investing? Where are the Indonesians investing? And an overview about what is the prospect. Where are we going in the near future? As you perfectly said, Bali is expanding and is becoming. There are hotspots basically all over the island. We are moving away from the Canggu, Seminyak, Uluwatu area, or even Ubud, who were like, and they are still the best areas and the most attracted areas. However, our prospect with the investment that are happening, you have the airport in the north, you have the toll road that is still under construction. Many areas will see a very important growth in the near future. I will say it in the next 3 to 5 years. Those areas here, we can call it mature areas, where we suggest and we guide our potential investors to go in an area which is a little bit, how to say it, still under development, even though the government is heavily investing in those areas, and it will have a major impact in the real estate market in the future in Bali.
Wonderful. So if you pass that microphone to Sheila. Also to add to that, everyone's heard of the LRT for Bali? Everyone's heard of the LRT underground? Yeah? An underground LRT coming as well. So that's part of the infrastructure and developments. I think it was from the airport first to Seminyak, and then it kind of goes from there. But underground work will start this year. Yeah, so again, infrastructure is one of the biggest challenges in Bali, which I think everybody can put their hand up and say, yeah, it is a bit of a problem, Rob. So things are moving. So Sheila, coming from a slightly different perspective from you, so what have you found in the number of years that you've been here, doing what you've been doing? Have you noticed about the market in Bali, and pros and cons, whatever's coming up for you?
Yeah. So I've been here for 8 years, and obviously there's been a huge growth and boom in the development sector in Bali. It scares me a little bit, the speed that everything is going, and for me, I wouldn't invest in Bali if it was me investing in Bali. I'm sorry. Just because it's just a huge overdevelopment, or like you said, I think maybe I would be looking in places where it's not so developed just yet. I just feel like a lot of developing companies are overpromising what they can deliver, because maybe they did those projections 2 years ago when there wasn't this huge development, but now 2 years in, you can see development everywhere. So I think I will be really careful and be very honest and get your account straight and see what you can get as a return on investment. And I think Bali is a little bit scary of how quickly it's growing and actually is breaking up the natural resources that it has. So.
Thank you. So if you pass that microphone to Rasmus. So before you answer this question, So if you feel that the question's been answered already, feel free to skip. For those of you in the audience, because there's a lot of people here, we really want to be guided by you. So I'll ask very few questions actually, and then we'll take the third mic, which is in Reda's hand, and it will go out to you. The one thing which I will say though, if you're going to ask a question, don't worry about saying who you are and about your project and so on, because that will go on for a long time. Just come straight with your question. So my name is Boom, my question is Boom, addressed at a person, and I'll remind you on who the people are. All right, so questions, I know some of you have them. Just think of what they may be. In about 10 minutes, we're going to come to you with them. So Rasmus, the question to you was, about the real estate market in Bali for maybe people who are not here. Maybe they're watching from overseas and they're wondering about this market of Bali. What is it? What's developing? Pros and cons? What have you found being incredibly fast growing? What have you found about Bali? And what does the future hold for you in the next 1 to 3 years in terms of sustainability?
That was a broad question with a lot of good opportunities to take from. I would say actually I disagree with the future of Bali, compared to the growth and where Bali is going. Of course, I have a point of view from your perspective that I'm a developer, but with other words, I'm also an investor. No one told me that I needed to go to Bali and invest. I'm looking into investing $8 million the next 4 months. If there's something I'm very, very focused on, then it is the growth and where exactly it makes sense to invest in Bali. I was making what is called a talk about it last week, where we make a parallel. We made an analysis, for example, about Canggu compared to the Uluwatu area, because it's two really big hotspots for a lot of people looking to invest from abroad, also people living in Bali and having a really good understanding about it. Let me try to keep it in short, but if we look into the area of Canggu, the numbers of properties in Canggu has increased with around 100% the last 2 years. We look into have around 8,000, as I remembered, 8,000 properties in the area of Canggu, and based on the streets, if you walk around and see how many developments is happening, or if you go to real estate platforms or wherever you want to have your data point from, I think we look into, based on the number of 8,000, increase the next 12 months on around, let's call it 20%. With other words, we also look into the rental prices, the occupancy rate, what is the average person having a property online, making money on it from a perspective of rental, actually making. And it's actually really, really, really clear to see that the over demand is already happening. And if we understand we have a future with, let's call it a supply, a production, continue, because a lot of developers actually are making, as I usually say, there is a development that is good from a perspective of investment, from a perspective of renting it out and actually make some money, which the business model is based on. And then there's developments made that is easy to sell. A little bit like if everybody's speaking about Bitcoins, and I come to you and tell you, hey man, invest with me in some coin or some area you have never heard about. From a perspective of a developer, I can be completely transparent. It's way easier to sell a one bedroom. First of all, I have made no townhouses, nothing in Canggu, and I would never invest in Canggu. But it's much easier. Do you have anything in Seminyak? Do you have anything in Canggu? So I see, with other words, overdevelopment in Canggu. I see that the history about the West Coast with Kuta, Seminyak, and so on continues. The big players come in, the supplies become too big, and the people that was on that holiday for 3 or 5 years ago was like, I miss the old Kuta, I miss the old Seminyak, I miss, that actually, have space and no traffic and whatsoever comes with it. It's going to continue. We see it with Sesa, we see it with Pereiranan right now. It's going extremely fast. But if we look a little bit more south, and we're looking down to Binging, Uluwatu, and all the coast going down there, it's going way faster. It's crazy. Is anybody watching or what? the market increase. Houses in the area of Binging has increased 38%. The average person that had a property in the area of, let's say, Padang Beach, or whatever it's called, Binging Beach, Dreamland Beach, whole area down there, Chimbaran and going down.
Sorry, can I interrupt 1
Yeah, take it. A lot of talk. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I get what you say and I understand everything, but I think you need to understand that this is a small island. And yes, you can invest and yes, you could put money in, but there's so much resources in this island to hold not that many people. There's not the infrastructure for it. So also going and making 100 villas and 100 is like, how are you going to get the water to Uluwatu? How are you going to get the people from Uluwatu to Uluwatu and out of Uluwatu? So you have to really think of a more holistic perspective when it comes to developing. And it's not just about, yes, you can get much money, but you're ruining a whole ecosystem of people, of culture, and an environment.
So just a quick show. Thank you both. Who is in Uluwatu, either living or has property in the Bukit area? Put your hand up. There are a few. There are a few. Great. Who has got property or has invested in the Canggu area? Raise your hand.
Not my house.
Okay, good, your house. Who has invested a little bit further north in either Sese, Pereiranan, or Tabanan? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Thank you. So one question that we'll get onto right now, because we're dealing with it, just to the panel now. So Sheila has brought up a point that is on many people's minds, right? It is. So thank you for bringing it up. Rasmus brought up a point that is also on many people's minds. And just to clarify what he was saying was that, and Robert, we had a chat about this before, there is a decline, right, a softening of the market in certain segments in Canggu for certain types of property. But what Rasmus is saying is that if you build quality in a certain direction, a certain segment, that price will be a great investment. It will remain. If you build a one-bedroom piece of SHIT, then this is where the challenge is going to be. Easy to sell, but it's not going to last long, and it will become, collateral damage like everything else that's come in that particular end of the market. So my question into the panel is on this sustainability of Bali in terms of can it sustain this growth? What are you doing, double-edged sword, what are you doing to keep your eye? So you've got one eye on the now, one eye on the future. Is there any strategy that you're bringing in to give a thought or an awareness to culture, customs, traditions, religions, and space when it comes to Bali? And we'll start with Rob, and we'll work our way back. Yeah,
I get to start again, yeah? Okay. We're actually seeing this ourselves in our data, yeah. There's a bit of an oversupply coming into the Canggu area. But for that reason, about a year ago, we started to shift our focus to larger villas. 3, 4, 5-bedroom villas. A lot of developers are not focusing on this sector for a very specific reason. They're more difficult to sell. So what does that mean for us? We have better negotiation terms with them. We get payment terms. None of the properties we buy, we actually pay for up front. We have 12, 24, 36 months to pay for them after they've been completed. So that's the reason why we focus on these. We've been buying a bunch of properties in Ubud.
So just to quickly interject so we keep everybody together. So what Robert's saying, so they tokenize real estate, right? Fractionalize. So what he's saying is that, so they will have a developer, maybe either pre-built or you've worked out prior. So this is for the developers out there. So the deal has already been done. Right, so long as you build to the spec that you expect and that you've decided and agreed upon, so what Robert's saying is that they'll come in and they'll buy the entire development with the terms of 12, 18 or 36 months, correct? Okay.
But we do a revenue split. So once we start listing that properties, let's say we've paid the developer 10% after 1 month, we would only take 10% of the returns. The remaining goes back to the developer. So that's how we currently operate. So that's also why we've seen that the returns slightly come down on the one-bedders, and that's why we shifted that focus to Ubud at the moment. We have been buying 3 and 4-bedroom villas there, and they do phenomenally well. Completed properties delivering 15, 16% net after paying full tax, after operational fees, etc. Second question was
So the second question was, so that's the now, which is you've answered beautifully. So casting an eye a little bit further forward into this area of culture, custom, tradition, religion, Trihitakarana, right? Casting our eye into that area, is there any strategy that you employ or look into or assess to look at that kind of area?
Just on areas, I'm actually quite bullish on Seminyak. If you look at search trends online, Seminyak still remains one of the largest or the biggest search terms out there. A lot of the big hotels are there, your W, Alila, Potato Head. Canggu area barely has any hotels. The infrastructure in Seminyak is also something better. But even Kuta, for that matter. I think there's a lot of potential in the Kuta area itself, but you need a big developer to come in. So you need someone like Ciputra out of Jakarta to just come in and say, no, let's knock down the whole area and rebuild this. You're close to the airport. You have a nice beach. You have the beach walk, the beachfront there. So I'm quite bullish on this, but it needs someone that's quite visionary to tackle this. On the cultural aspect, I'm the only non-Asian employee in the company, yeah? So culture is quite interesting. I had to adapt a lot. I'm originally from the Netherlands, so coming to this country, I had to learn their values and their culture, which we have to be very respectful to, because it's their country, right? So we adhere to this. On the operational staff, which is quite interesting, is we look for a combination of local Balinese people as well as non-Balinese people, because they all have a lot of holidays and ceremonies. So to avoid, for example, next month when it's Ramadan, a lot of the construction will come to a standstill because all these people go back to their villages. So if you then focus on local Balinese workers, that work will continue. So yeah, we do take this into account when we grow the company and when we do our resource planning.
Thank you very much. So if you pass that microphone to Reda, so just... Yeah, no, we're gonna come back. Just write that down, my brother. Great head. Sorry, for those who are watching, another fella with the same hairstyle. Can't help myself. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Reda, over to you. So you got the question?
No.
Good. So then the question for you in your position is that, so what do you see from your clients? So people coming from overseas, they come in, it's like, right, I want to buy property in Bali. How do you advise your clients with relation to what's happening now that you've probably dealt with already, but this forward kind of occhio in Italian, this forward look, this forward glance, how do you rectify or look at how do we maintain or help to maintain the culture, customs, traditions, religions? Do you, for instance, say to them, look, this style of property that you want to build, no, don't do that. Try this one. Do you direct them? These are the sorts of questions that I want to ask you.
There is a side of the business that we haven't spoke about, and this is also related to your question. I mean, we have been talking about big-time developers selling big entertainment places, big villas, and etc. I would say that 70% of my clients are small-time investors, are people who are coming to invest and build one-bedroom villa, two-bedroom villas, and the ticket is $200,000 USD, let's say, roughly. And a major point is for those guys who are building like small-size investors, they are not looking to resell it. What I try to explain to my client is when you invest at this entry level, you need to have a long-time visions. It's not something that you're going to make a quick buck for the first year or second year or third years. You need to, that's a rental business. It's not something that you want to sell. And against popular beliefs, I mean, the last data that we had from 2019 was Bali was having 16 million tourists a year. But the split of the 16 million, you have 10 millions who were Indonesians. And those 10 million Indonesian out of domestic tourism, for those of you who were with us during COVID, help all those business, help Bali to sustain and to remain a Bali that we know today during the COVID. So what I say to my clients for those small investors is, if you want to have a good return on rental, focus as well on the domestic market, because it's a major player in the present. It was in the past, like the near and the recent past with the COVID. It's the present of Bali, investing on Indonesian domestic tourism, and in the future as well. So adapting the perception, the design, the construction, the culture, the Ramadan, and etc. for the domestic tourism.
Which means building car parks, yeah?
Not only.
Asians come with cars mainly.
Not only.
Right, yeah.
And that goes with the infrastructure issues that we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, and that's another great follow-up, but we'll keep moving. So Sheila, so for you, in the role that you play, right, with this wonderful platform, right, Bali Interiors, been here for 8 years with all the different animals that you have and everything else. And look, you know, you're the one as well who feels very strongly about preservation of culture and so on and so on and so on, right? So when it comes to the role that you play, so how do you bring that ideology or that sentiment through to your customers, clients, because you have a great big platform, right?
Yeah.
So how do you bring that to the public awareness?
I think through education, mostly, and just really showcasing places that are not cookie cutters. They're unique. My platform is all about design and interiors and architecture, so I'm kind of in the middle between yes to development and preserving, the beautiful island of Bali. So for me, my angle comes through design. When you invest in a place that is beautifully designed, it has longevity. And I think you were saying that before. So I think if you were to invest, I would really look into, is this place well built? Is it well designed? Is it does the energy is low in use? How you design a space can have huge consequences on the environment, and also how you live. If you get a place that is really hot inside, you're going to hate it. That place is going to turn over. It's not going to be functional for you, which is going to have a lower income stream. This is it's a chain of events. So really, if you're investing, really look at how it's designed and how you can maximize the space to make it beautiful, still livable, and in harmony with Bali.
Thank you, my darling. Beautiful answer. So Rasmus, we'll get you in a second. So then we've got this challenge, right? So when Rasmus says, I'm going to build 50 or 100 units, so my wife is the same, right? So when she hears something like that, her mind is already like, oh, she kind of steps back a bit, yeah? So I get your point, and I get the feeling. I get it at home, I get it here, I get it everywhere, but that's okay. We're good. So Rasmus, so when someone, raises that kind of sentiment, like what comes up for you? Now, I'll give you a bit of a hint or a tip. Let people know, like how you see Bali and, the kind of work that you do, which is in your heart, right? Which you did last week, and you're going to do it again pretty soon. So give people that understanding about you as well.
Yesterday we were hosting an event in the Eco Garden up here in Peruvian. It was called Dining and Giving. So it was as much as a reminder for myself to remember to give back to Bali. And a message to, let's call it, to the public. So we were making a charity event to build a school in Kitamani. So I can say, from my perspective, how can you say, like let's say you want to have a cheat meal, you know what I mean? Like this is not right. I know. Then try to see what is the best you can do. If it's not right, then let's try to do the best we can do while we are down this path. And then let's try to give balance in other perspectives. I think that's the best way I can describe it. So if I have two options, and let's say, let me give an example, put in recycling spans in all of our villas, because I know that's the right thing. That's what I come from. I'm from Denmark. I'm from Copenhagen. We are a very green city, and I have a lot of, understanding and, let's call it, work process that I'm familiar with from back home. What was the question? Sorry.
No, you pretty much answered it. So the question was, when someone hears, hey, 50 to 100 villas or apartments being built, they think of, the land is being, I don't want to use that word, but the land is being used for purposes which are detrimental to the land, right? So from your perspective, I think there's two things in there, right? One is you're saying, look, hey, number one, you are ensuring that your steps are measured with giving something back and involving the local community. One. Number two, what you're saying is that while you're traveling down this road of building, that you want to ensure that you build to the highest quality. And when it comes to the environment, you're using, let's say, materials, you're using processes that ensure that the footprint, for example, which is left by your development is the lowest it can be, or can create a net positive. So just expand upon that.
Yeah, I would say I've been more focused on it now. I am more focused on it. I don't want to sit here and greenwash myself. Our first development in Sicily, I'm a very honest man. I think I was I don't know, let's call it 0% focused on, having a green tag on our villa. I had a focus about developing a company, building a team, growing, and I had other focus points. But from our perspective, the reason we exist is to build the strongest investment cases in Bali, and I have a very big responsibility on behalf of our clients. They put their trust in me. They put a lot of money in my hands, or whatever you want to call it, in my team's hands. So you can say, for example, with our first development, I also said that to Robert. I see Robert. We have an office down the road, but I work from here every day because I don't know. I love tropical nomads. It's nice community, great people. It looks less office. I'm not really an office guy, to be straight up. But as I've said to Robert, it's about having the energy to it. And my focus point has been 100% to let's call it build a company and really grow. But in the end of the day, my why is not for myself to become filthy rich. I don't give a shit about money. I'm born in Denmark. I was rich before I could walk. Money gives resources that you can use in other spaces. So, yes, I'm 100%. We are building a resort in the jungle. And for example, what's the guy we met? Nino, that guy with the airflow.
Sean Nino.
Yeah, amazing. Wow, man. If I could tap into his brain for like 5 seconds, fuck, that guy was clever. So he's like the most. That was next level. Like he's the king of eco. Let's call him that. About
Merapudi Hijau. Yeah.
That was amazing. So. Yeah, if I can, I would love to, learn myself and integrate it in our design. So, for example, to give an example, it was something with don't build it on the ground, build it a little bit higher. It's good for the nature. Something around the forms of the villa, so the airflow goes better. So, as you also mentioned a little bit, so we can use less resources on, for example, electricity and whatsoever to to cool down a place. Of course, it has from a perspective of economical. Lower running costs, but also from a perspective of the nature, use less resources.
All right, so before you go, what I want to say quickly, then we're going to move to questions in the audience. So you had one. Any questions, think of them now. The microphone's going to come to you. So here's the thing. So I look at Detlev over here. I look at Terrier. I look at a few other people here. I haven't met you properly yet, so I can't say Jonathan. Look at Michael. So I look at some of the people here who have been here for a while, right? So what I'm hearing, which is not saying, but what I'm hearing is that, he is also open, to developing and having ideas which can take it forward in a more sustainable way, right? So the man I just mentioned is building an eco retreat in Tabanan, right? For example. So we're going to talk about eco retreats, not tonight, but that will be another one. But look, I want to change gear real quick. So Ayu or Guzman or Hadis, are you here? We're going to grab the microphone from Reda, and then we're going to take it out to the audience, right? Because again, we can talk forever. I don't want that. I want people to actually give us the questions. So we had one over here. So while we get the microphone to you, two things. Number one, there's a camera here that swivels around, so you will be on camera. So just remember that. Secondly, give it 2 or 3 seconds before Guzman mics the microphone and point it at your mouth, please, not down here. And the last thing is, so I don't want to interrupt people, but 15 seconds is long enough to get your question out. If you start going on, I'm going to stop you.
If I got 3 questions, can I fire them all off at once, or?
No, just go one, but just quickly. Yeah. So remember, don't give us background on you. We don't need that today. Just the question.
Yep.
And one thing. So 1 second. So this is the other one. We've got a lot of people here. Address it to one person. So we have Robert GORO, tokenizing platform. We have Reda, Emma Hub, right? We have Sheila, Bali Interiors, Rasmus, developer.
I got it all written down. Thanks.
All right, got it.
Okay, cool. This one's for Rob. You mentioned your net rental yield is based around 11%. Is that for LTR or STR? Short-term rental and long-term rental?
It really depends on the property. We have properties on yearly rentals that actually do 12% net. So we have a mixture of. So whenever we acquire a property, we look at, is this suitable for long-term rental? So it's either yearly, monthly, or daily. So it depends on the property.
Perfect. Okay. It's just that like a lot of people when they do these presentations, they don't distinguish this, and it's sort of hard to like filter through. When
Next question.
Yeah.
So I was just going to add, if you go onto our website and you click on any property, you'll actually see the historical rental performance.
Perfect. I'll do that.
So you can see how stable it is.
Cool. Next one is for Sheila. Do you integrate your ethos with like feng shui or
No.
no? Nothing.
It was just in terms of my house or
No, just in terms of like your interior design and your build.
I'm not an interior designer.
Oh.
So I'm a publisher. So I publish
Got you.
houses. What I wanted to say before is I think the longer you stay in Bali, the more you realize how precious it is. And I think
Agree.
a lot of developments come and they're very young and they're very new to the island and they just go all in without really studying and understanding the future of the island. And I think this is what's happening to you. You're learning more every day, and every day you're educating yourself of like, this is a long-term investment. It's not just a short-term to grab money. So I think the longer you're here, the more you understand and the more you care about this island and want to protect it.
Respect. Third question.
That's it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip the third question because it's kind of irrelevant now.
You did really well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. Yeah, round of applause. He was first. Right? He was first. I drilled him a little bit, but he's a brother with no hair. He can take it. He's a good man, I know. Questions. Hand up. Question. Terrier over there. Good. All right, now this question's going to be a tricky one. It's not. It is. Reda, he's coming for you. I didn't say that. I did.
No, thank you. And I'm not going to torture anyone. Just briefly, not talking about myself, but I moved to this area maybe 20 years ago. There was 3 villas and 1 morong. And I know Detlef, Mark, and a few others can tell a similar story. Then we built Canggu Club, who today is Finn's Recreation Club, and we messed it up. And I think that's a sad story. In those days, you could buy land for probably 2 million an hour. Today, you're lucky to get it for 2 billion. But I think the question is, the problem that we have is regulation, and regulations are coming. They're actually there. How do we, as a group, make sure they're actually enforced and driven? So I can ask that to any one of them, and maybe Rob can pick who is going to answer that. What are we or you doing to actually drive these regulations? Because I don't see that very much out in the market, that a developer or any company in the service industry, probably including us, that take that responsibility to actually talk about this. Thank you.
Robert or Reda? I mean, yeah, Robert or Reda, which one? Reda.
Yes, you're right. The responsibility of enforcing the regulations come back to us as well. At the moment where somebody crosses the door of my office, I always say the same thing, and I always describe the regulation the way it is, as accurately and as updated as I can. However, the regular advice is to always do your own due diligence. You cannot enter in a market like Bali and like Indonesia without doing your own due diligence. How to enforce it, basically, while not allowing any shady or gray areas to the clients that I am supporting. How can I support it? By offering not only like a one-shot business and I assist you for incorporating your company. However, we offer a partnership on the long terms, informing and assisting and helping to have a pure compliance with the regulation and the laws that has been communicated to us. So we had a long discussion last time when we had what to do when things go wrong here, and exactly being compliant, paying your tax when it comes to pay your tax, applying for the building permit when it's time, applying for the different kind of licenses that you require, because that's also a duty that come back to us. I mean, we know you and me are in the same field, and we know it, and we share information. But maybe it's time. Maybe you are one of the oldest here. Maybe under your supervision, we can continue and have more and more of discussions about how to provide a clear, transparent, and compliance information to our customers.
Great answer. It's like this, everybody. So when we first got here, I think 7-8 years ago, 20 years ago was the first time, but to live properly was 7-8 years ago. I was helping a company called Bali NGO and Associates, right? Rodney and Kylie Kylie Palmley from Crisis Kitchen, wonderful human. Rodney, great guy. And what it was, and Jeroen, can never pronounce his name, but you know the guy. What it is like this. He said, or we were discussing, when we, and I include myself, my wife is Indonesian, our kids are Indonesian and Australian, I'm English, doesn't matter. When I come here and I see something, I don't know, it's something about how I'm wired or something. I say, I see this thing here, we can do something about it. But here's the thing which foreigners, I believe, must do, which is, there's two things. There's duplication and collaboration, right? Or integration, right? Duplication, collaboration, or integration. So what most people do is that they see something and say, I can fix that, and they get all ego about it, right? Ego, I'm gonna fix this, it's me fixing this thing. Without realizing who is actually doing it now. Is there anyone in the space who's actually doing this already that I can help, that I can empower to get more impact, to get more penetration out there? And so part of what Terry, who was just speaking, Reda, we had Dodo from Bali Soul, we had Keld as well, great people, and we had them all together. So one person, we did this special what happens when you get into trouble in Bali, it was called, right? And we didn't film that one because we didn't want to film that one. But it's like this. People ask me, well, why are you bringing all of these guys together who are in competition with each other, right? Why did you do that? It's like, no, I don't see it that way. Co-competition is a word which means those who are seemingly in competition with each other collaborate to raise standards and to increase the size of the pie, to increase the market, right? So, and out of that came, again, Red, Kel, Terrier, these guys who are supposed to be in competition, they actually talk to each other. They pass on contacts, connections. If they have problems with a client, they'll pass them on to another person. That is, for me, the way forward. And that's what Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity in diversity, uniting diversity, that's where we are, right? Pancasila, the 5 guiding principles of Indonesia. If you don't know them, Go and learn them, right? But this is where we are, and that's why I think somewhere like Bali has an extraordinary opportunity to actually bring people together, like Sheila, Rasmus having a different point of view, but they love each other, I know that. But being able to then, this guy is saying, well, maybe I can look further and I can bring things in that can be more sustainable or more green or more this or more that. He's open to it, right? And that's what I mean about conversation, discussion, suspending our ego and our colonialism to realizing that, hey, let's look to the Balinese. Hey, let's look to the Indonesians who are here to see what they've been doing. By the way, quickly, this is an all expat panel, yes, on purpose. There will be 2 or 3 follow-ups to this, and you'll find it will be different, yeah? But I wanted to get an expat perspective today. That's why they're here. Okay, get off my little stage. Yevgeny, have you got the mic already? The microphone to Yevgeny. Yeah, thank you. Rasmus is asking for any air. No, man. It's a hot seat. It's a hot seat. You want some air? Okay, all right. Maybe we swing it around afterwards. Okay.
I'm from short-term rental business, and as we see in last year, I would say that demand is under the pressure, and it's not so stable as, let's say, before COVID. So what do you expect in sense of supply? I mean, in demand. So, do you think that you will get enough guests, enough customers in the last years? So, because I personally not so sure about that. We see how many different new projects around. So, what is your opinion? Maybe this is a question for all. I don't know.
All right. So, one person who wants that question, Robert, is for you.
Sure.
So while Robert's thinking about the answer, if you have a question, get it ready, put the hand up. Remember, what we're going to do is about 15, 20 seconds to introduce the question. It's not to be rude. It's just to make sure you don't talk about yourself. So then we can actually get value to everybody here. Okay.
To answer your question, it really comes back to the fundamentals of doing your own due diligence. Don't just trust what's out there, do your own research. The advantage that we have is that we operate several properties, so we have a lot of first-party data, so we can see how far people book in advance, how long they on average stay. So we use a lot of this data to then see where we see the market going. And that's one of the reasons what I mentioned earlier is that we kind of moved away from the 1 and 2 bedders and focus on the larger villas. Because we see people already booking for August. on the larger villas, and they're willing to pay a big premium to stay on in these months. Whereas the one-bedders we have, they get booked on the day itself. So it's very difficult to predict your revenues, where for us as a platform, I like stability. I don't like surprises. I just want my users to get their stable paycheck every single month. And we shouldn't forget, we're technically investing alongside our users. We're representing the people. We are buying that property and then allowing them to invest. But if they exit, it's coming off my balance sheet. So we're carrying a lot of risk there. So we have to make sure that whatever property we buy, that we're comfortable that it will deliver up to the standard that we were expecting.
Thank you. So, thank you, Evgeny. Appreciate you, brother. So, Detlev, I know you have a question. Anyone else has a question, please raise your hand. We've got a few over here. Detlev, you have one? Later. I like that. So, if we swing the microphone just over here, that will be great. Thank you. Awesome. Right, so if you're just tuning in, this is a Bali property focused Speak Up Monday tonight. We have 4 wonderful guests. Robert, his company are the first to tokenize or fractionalize property investment in Indonesia. 56,000 people using their platform, 99% Indonesian, can invest as little as $1. We have Reda, who's from Hub Bali, who focus on basically companies moving to Indonesia, all the different suites of services and products that they need, accountancy and so on, all the way around visas, to basically ensure they have a legal, legitimate, and credible stay here in Bali and Indonesia at large. Sheila, who is the creator, the online media, right? Bali Interiors, and Rasmus Holst, who is the founder of Overdevelopment, who's going gangbusters here in Bali from a development point of view, who's also having a few downloads tonight, which is great. All right.
Hello, guys. We are talking a lot about putting people together and making a commitment of the community, and I think everything we're talking about is South Bali. So you told probably we're going to have a new airport in the northeast. Novena. We're going to have new beaches being built in East Bali. A lot of things is happening in the future. So if we look a little bit further in the Bali life, what do you think, what would you predict is going to happen in the future? Where is the new hotspot if we're not talking about just the south all the time? So let's say 10, 15 years ahead, where's the new hotspot? What is happening if we're not just, as an investor's point of view, investing in 25 years of lease all the time, but we're seeking maybe 50 years of lease or freehold, I don't know. But, the life is long, we have children too. What is happening in the future?
All right, got the question. All right, so he's saying he's got no kids.
I'm going to get that.
You're going to get
Hopefully.
that. Handsome fella, I'm sure you'll be fine. So here we go. So the question basically is, where's the next spots in Bali, looking 5, 10, 15 years into the future? Who would like to answer that question? Sheila, you in?
I can answer it.
Robert, microphone to Sheila. Okay, other questions next to you? Yeah, so one second. So where's the microphone now? Because there was another person, I think, next. Who hasn't asked a question? Yeah. So, okay, anyone else behind you? No, it was you? Okay. All right, thank you.
I will look outside of Bali.
Okay.
I will look at different islands. I will look at Lombok, Sumba, Mentawai. There's thousands of islands in Indonesia, and I think Bali will get eventually oversaturated, and people already starting looking for investments in different islands. So I would go somewhere else.
So let's do this. Can you pass the microphone back behind you to Toby? So Toby is what I call my Lombok guy. Well, he's not my guy, but he's a friend, and he lives in Lombok and very knowledgeable. Been here for tens of years. So what would you say to that, Toby? So what Sheila's saying is that let's not think about Bali anymore. Let's look further afield, places like Lombok and so on. Where is that at the moment?
Well, I'm a bit worried about the infrastructure here, as many people are. You mentioned the LRT. It's going to take 10, 15 years to even build one station. I don't understand why there's not other ideas like city gondolas, for example, which the Austrian government will even pay to build here, and just taking a share of the profit, for example. Could be a solution for the Bukit as well. When looking at Lombok, the government really prepared the infrastructure for the future influx. So I think they're within the next 10 years with the infrastructure there's built, there won't be any infrastructure issues. So I think that's really a major factor, and a lot of what I'm hearing from people who have been coming to Bali a lot. I mean, it still has the allure it has for people who come the first time, but they're basically veering to other areas, and I believe the airport transit figures also show that. So there's definitely opportunity. Labuan Bajo, Lombok, Sumba, as you were mentioning, even West Sumbawa, where they're building a new private airport right now. And I'm looking areas as far afield as Sulawesi and some other areas, just because Indonesia is not using even 10% of its tourism potential. It has a lot all around the archipelago.
Thank you, Toby. So as you pass the mic forward, a few things I quickly want to share just before you, Rob. So one is, if you're in Bali, look at places like Jembrana. Everyone heard of Paramount Studios are coming. So that's right up there on the west side. So all of that, plus that toll road that will be finished in 2025, maybe, that will open up that entire western seaboard. Then, as you mentioned before about the airport, northeast Bali, so then you've also got that area emerging. What I love is about, Kalimantan, right? So the capital is moving, right, from Jakarta to Kalimantan. There is a project which I'm looking into at the moment, which is a special economic zone called Jurong Borneo, okay? And it's a special economic zone which is building a new city, right? The port is built, and the rest we're talking about. But so I'm just giving you an example. There are so many, as Sheila mentioned, 17,000 plus islands. There's 500 cultures, 200 languages, almost 300 million people. There's different markets. Bali isn't the only market, obviously. Your question, yeah. I'll just give him 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's working now. So this is a question for the entire panel, and it's a continuation in regards to how to affect change in terms of regulations and steer regulation in the right path. The question is are there associations or lobby groups that we can attach ourselves to that it's going to help change regulations? Because from my experience, that's the only real way to affect change is through associations and lobby groups.
Cool. Who wants that one?
Yeah, sure. I think just on the previous question, we're very much talking about tourism properties here, but you also touched on this. There's countless opportunities in other places of Indonesia that are not relying on tourism. Obviously, we all know the impact that COVID had on the tourism sector. So let's look at other markets like the Kos-Kosans in Jakarta. They're pretty much fully booked. It's co-living. They're pretty much fully booked all the time. And they deliver about 10% net rental yield per year. They're freehold titles, so you have more likelihood of capital appreciation. And if you go back to the fundamentals, what are you investing for? Is it to have a shiny villa, or is it for the returns? Once you start asking that question, the property doesn't actually matter. It could be a very rundown property, but if it delivers the returns that you're expecting, go for it. On the second question around regulation, one of the key reasons why we're headquartered in Jakarta is because of this. The government is there, the regulators are there, the big developers are there. So when we started building GORO, the first person we gave equity to as a company was our lawyer, because we understood the complexity of building this business. And there's a lot of associations there. So you got the FinTech Association out there, for example, and they will actually support you with new regulation.
And just on that, so any other questions, please raise it. There are other questions. People are scared or something. We got a question over there. Yeah, there you are, my dear. So just before we get to you, just 1 second. So, for example, there's a few people in the room. Now, can I see him? Ihum, are you here? Ihum? He's around here somewhere. Somewhere he's here. There's Terrier, there's Reda. There's a few of us here. There's Tabanan. It's an incredible regency, the second largest regency in Bali, from UNESCO World Heritage, mountains, rice paddy, ocean, wave, and so on, waterfalls and so on, right? So what we're doing is that we're working with one of the royal families there to help, firstly, to begin to map the area of Tabanan, right? Being that there are zoning regulations in place, there's an opportunity that they'll be upheld. And as I'm suitably informed, that there are some people who have been caught, right? So it's either a multiple billion rupiah fine or imprisonment if you build outside of the regulations. In other words, you take the piss, right? So it's happening, yeah, slowly but surely. And obviously our hope and intention is that we work together along with the regulations and the regulators, local government, Bupati and so on, to do our best to toe our line and for our community to play by the rules. So I think part of the answer to your question, and I agree that the regulations are important. Again, Terry over here, he was on a few weeks ago. We're talking about Indonesia from a regulatory point of view, from a legal aspect, and he's been here for 30 years, right? And we went through the history of Indonesia. So you should look at that episode, really interesting, thought-provoking, and understanding of why the regulations are what they are. But ultimately, it's down to us as well. But I'll give you the details of the episode. Question, young lady over here, yeah.
So I'm a newbie in real estate. I would like to know if I'm going to go and want to invest in any property here, what are some advice that you can give me, this is for anyone, to look out for companies that build on green zones, because I would hate to invest in any property like that. Yes.
Great question. Reda, it's in your hand.
Well, we touched based on that earlier, and this is for everybody, not only the newbies, but even some of the old-time expat might still fall on the same mistakes. Do your due diligence, be it with a company like me or our colleagues here. It is a mandatory step for each one of us to do the due diligence, to take an informed decision. There are some risks that you can live with. There are some others that you might discuss with your investors, with your partners. There are others that are a total no-go and you don't want to do it. So ask yourself first what you can live with and spend some money doing it as well by doing a due diligence with experts, because we might find a lot of information on the internet. I have a lot of clients knocking to my door saying that I can build in a green zone, I can do this, I cannot pay the tax, I can do 20 million things different here in a different way. However, the rules remains the same and the regulation is crystal clear. So my advice to you is go ahead, do your due diligence, understand your risk level, and then you are on the right side. It all depends on you first. Ask yourself those questions, find the right partner, and you can be in the safe side.
Wonderful. So what we're going to do now, because I think people are scared to ask questions, that's okay. What we're going to do is, so after this, they're going to have an opportunity to talk to the people up here and talk to each other. But the important part is that quite often, the people that we not need, but can help us in our next steps are sitting right next to us, but we don't know who they are, right? So, Brother Hadis, can you give the microphone to Jonathan? He doesn't know he's going to be talking, right? So 30 seconds if you can do it, maybe 40. Just explain to people what it is that you do, because you're in a room, you can help a bunch of people here. Michael, you're next. 30 seconds.
We're a fintech, and we own a bank, a listed entity on the Indonesian Stock Exchange. We've spent the last 4 years and tens of millions in getting regulated, and we provide finance. We develop. We can give you a mortgage. Anybody here, we can give a mortgage. It's not related to income. All you got to do is pass your KYC to make sure you're not an arms dealer. And we are lending against the asset. So we'll lend up to 70%. So a lot of developers are coming to us to get their pre-approved so their buyers can have mortgage finance.
Thank you. To pass your right, so that's BRICS. BRIX. It's all good, mate. I got your back. It's all right, mate. So, Michael, 30 seconds for you. You can do it.
Yeah, we're going to help how properties are marketed here in Bali generally. How are properties perceived overseas, and how can we increase booking and value and sales on overall? We've been coming up with the solutions called rumor3d.com, where we're having property listings that include virtual tours, videos, pictures, descriptions, everything you need to get a good feeling and sense of space of a villa and build your new and get your new home in Bali. I'll just pass it to Terry now.
Thank you. You can do it. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't think I want to talk about what I do and don't do, but I wanted to add on to a few of the questions and comments. One of them was about the market, and I agree we should diversify off into other islands. And Indonesia has 17,000 of them. There's so much potential. The tourism ministry and others, they're trying to drive that. But if we talk specifically for Bali, you've seen nothing yet. It's a cash-driven market until these guys, and there will be other following them, comes in with mortgage. Look at what happens in between Indonesia and Australia in terms of growing tourism and cross-border relationships. Chinese market, we haven't even started recovering yet. You've seen nothing yet. For the next 10, 12 years, Bali will still be the number one place to invest and make money, if that's the purpose. God help us all that people like yourself and others can help to push that we are in compliance with regulations and whatever else. The last 10 seconds, you said people were scared to ask questions. I want to scare them further. You touched about green belts. You can have 5 billion in fine or 4 years in jail for building in a green belt today. If you operate as a sales agent in real estate without having a permit, and about 99% of the agents out there, you can be fined 10 billion or 4 years in jail. So the regulations are there and they will be enforced. So it's our common responsibility again to push this.
Thank you very much. So now we're going to finish very soon, but what I would love, before we come back to our guests and ask them, this is a question for you now, if there's something that you'd like to say, maybe it's reiterating what you said already, or something you'd like to leave people with on the topic of Bali's real estate market, please do so. But I just want to give a few people a chance to say something. So if you're in the audience now, right, and you need some help, right? Now that could be, I'm looking for X or I'm looking for Y. If you're able to say it in like 10 or 15 seconds, I invite you to raise your hand, right? So why am I doing this? As I mentioned before, so quite often in life, the person or the information that you require is sitting right next to you. But you don't ask because you're too scared, or you don't speak, which is the same thing in a way. So if there's anyone here who came for a certain reason tonight, there were a bunch of you that said why you came here tonight, which you haven't spoken, and that's okay. But if you want to let someone know, I would like this kind of information, and just to call it out, and then have someone maybe come and have a chat to you afterwards, I give you the chance to raise your hand, and we'll give you the microphone. Not you. Anybody? Well, that worked. That worked really well. So clearly what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of questions afterwards. Over here, so we get the microphone over here. And you will get a chance to speak after to everybody as well, by the way. We're going to have a big photo after this too. Lord knows how, but we'll work it out.
Hey guys. So I recently moved to Bali. I sold my shares in a venture capital in Denmark to live my dream life over here. And now I started to build like a sustainable project in East Bali. Because I think, as you said over there, that Bali is like the Bitcoin, the first one who is changing the way of living, this digital nomad life. I think Bali is going to be the best place in Indonesia for a long time. So I'm building sustainable villas in East Bali, starting with my first project, 23 villas. And yeah, now I'm living here. So I'm just trying to get in contact and put in a lot of network into my life, because now I'm living here. So if anyone can add some value for my life, I hope I can add some value back. So,
what help do you need?
Everything from maybe AI renders to this guy over there who can help my potential investors in the future. And yeah, I want to stay here afterwards and connect a bit.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to say what it is that they need or require right now? Feel free.
Just quickly, I'm really interested in the whole fractionalized real estate and the returns. I don't really have a question right now about it, but I guess I'd speak to you in person.
All right, so you can speak to Rob after. Anybody else?
Right here.
Yep, over there, yeah.
Okay, thank you, because this meeting consists of Bali real estate developer. I'm offering you to look at this east of Indonesia, Maluku, Ambon. It's the beautiful places, no touristy place, so you have to look look at the east place of Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So look in the east of Indonesia, Maluku. Beautiful place. Thank you, my brother. All right. So I think that's about it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do two things. So one, some closing comments from our guests, number one. Number two is that straight after this, Lord knows how, we're going to get everybody up and we're going to have a big photo option. And then number three, I said there's two, but there's three. I really do invite you to speak to people, right? So if you don't speak, you don't receive, right? If you don't give, you don't get. So if you have got a question, and most of you had something that you came here for, that's why you're here, make the most of this opportunity and speak to someone who can help you. So as we have Rasmus over here, Coco Developments, check them out online. You'll see something incredible. Over here, we have Sheila Mann. So now Bali Interiors, right? So check out her media online. Incredible. And over here, Reda. Now, Reda is from Emma Hub. Emma Hub, they specialize in companies, individuals that want to move into Indonesia. What is it that you need? You need a lot of things. You need help and support with visas, help and support with accounting, help and support with guidelines, with regulations. There's a lot of things there that you need. Have a chat to him. And then obviously, Robert, my namesake, thanks for coming from Jakarta. You've come the furthest. Again, you know, I'm really super appreciative for everyone who's come. And you, my friend, you know, I think are doing something incredible because, again, this show is Destination Indonesia, and it's about both. It's about Indonesians and it's about foreigners, right? We have both. And I love the fact that your platform is empowering Indonesians to get involved for as little as $1. And there's 99% of the 56,000 users are Indonesian. I love that. I think that's incredible. And I love the fact that Gotong Royong, right, the community coming together to serve a community need is at the heart and soul of what you do. Love it. So again, some really inspiring people who are down to earth, who are willing to talk to you and answer your questions. So please take this opportunity to speak to them. And you would have heard some people in the audience as well, which are incredibly knowledgeable at what they do. You would have felt them. Feel free to speak to them as well, because that's what this is actually all about. It's about bringing people together, leverage knowledge, leverage the energy, and get something out of it that you've come for. But please, speak. Really important. All right, so we'll go in reverse order. We'll start with Rasmus. There you go. Because he wasn't expecting it. There you go. We'll start with Rasmus, and then we'll go to Rob.
I don't have that much. I think I will just come with a comment to what did you introduce yourself? The newbie girl. In regards to legal, you can say no matter what you purchase, if it's development, a land, whatsoever, you're always gonna go through what is it called, like a notary. So my advice to you would just be to find someone who's really nice and clever and all that, and then include them. What is it called, like in the beginning of the process, so you have them online at the side of the line, not online, so they can advise you all the time, because there's definitely a different perspective of what is correct if you ask your own legal team, and if you ask a guy trying to sell you a Greenland. Everything is possible on a Greenland if you are the guy selling a Greenland, and it's not. Don't go for it. You can flip it into a yellow, blah blah blah. I would just highly recommend you not to listen to the guy trying to sell you the product. And then I had another comment that was just more from a perspective of investment. Like, no matter what you're investing in, if it's a one-bedroom, a castle, a boat, whatsoever, look. It's a business. Like, if you're investing in a burger bar, a hostel, a hotel, you have a business model based on people coming in and putting their money in it. That's how your investment generates money. So look into what is the buying behavior? What is the concept? What is I want with this? And where is the clients coming from? Yes, the majority of clients is coming from Booking.com and Airbnb, the platform, you can say, if you look into the business model. But if you have some creativity, something you can bring into the table yourself, let's say you're a social media star and you're really good in making courses or campaigns, retreats, or whatsoever, try to think into concepts, make a concept out of it. And take yourself, differentiate yourself from the mass market instead of just investing in a one-bedroom and say, hey, I put it on Airbnb like everyone else. Because what is the buying behavior from a perspective of a client looking at your one-bedroom, for example? It's price, it's design, it's price, it's location, and it's the functionality. So yeah, was that too much? Too much?
That's just about right.
I'll shut up now.
So you pass the mic to Sheila. You did good, mate. You did good.
Yes, I agree actually about the notary thing. I think you have to get someone from the very beginning and really do your due diligence in whichever way you invest. And go back to my point of design, good design, it holds the test of time. So if you're looking for an investment, have a look at a really beautiful, well-done place, because that is, at the end, is going to stand out from the rest. If you go for the middle market where everything looks the same, if yours stands out from the rest of them, you will have a long-term investment that works for you.
Thank you, darling. Yeah, Reda.
Well, we've mentioned it, we said it, and we repeated it. The due diligence is extremely important, and that avoids a lot of mistakes down the road when you are investing. I totally agree with Sheila that it's easy to build a one-bedroom and compete with 90% of the different properties that you have around. However, I mean, the more I see from the clients that I meet on daily basis is that we try to suggest to offering a different experience. A different experience is not only about a room and a swimming pool that you can take an Instagram photo and share it with your followers. Bali is not about that. Bali is about experience. Bali is about, I have one of my clients this week, well, he's offering in Munduk and in Gesing on the mountains, building small houses in a coffee plantation, and offering this experience of tasting the coffee, on living with the locals, on how they cultivate the coffee, what is the process, and etc. And that's the recipe of success, is offering an experience that not anybody can do. It doesn't require that much amount of that much initial investment, and you make sure that you differentiate yourself from the rest of the market, respecting the Bali culture, offering something unique in Bali, and accessorily making some money out of it, right? Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Reda. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, just bring it around.
I obviously have to tell you to create an account on GORO and invest some money, yeah?
Oh, by the way, this is a QR code. This, you can set up an account, give it a test drive, as little as $1. There's one QR code here. There's another one by the water filter thing. So here it is.
But I thought, let me give you some insights on what's happening at GORO. So 70% of our users are first-time investors. They've never invested in anything else. And for your idea, 5% of Indonesia's population is currently investing. So that's the sheer potential that this market has. And some other interesting trends that we're seeing is that some of our users have transacted over 500 times on the platform. So they come back on a daily basis. And when we speak to these users, we actually ask them, what do you do for a living and how do you get paid? So a lot of these people are working class people. They may be your Gojek guy delivering you your food, and they have some spare cash at the end of the day, and they'll then invest that with us to grow their wealth. And in the long run, they actually want to own a property, but many of them can't afford a property today. There's 80 million Indonesians that don't qualify for a mortgage today. So that's also something that we want to contribute to as GORO, to help these people create wealth and then hopefully one day use that as a down payment to actually buy their own home.
Wonderful. You know, closing from me is very simple. I just want to thank Tropical Nomad, Guy, where is he? Ayu over here, Guzman and Hadiz. Thank you very much. In closing for this session, so remember, this was part one. It was all about an expat perspective on purpose. Why? Because we want to set a tone of, if you're a foreigner, and again, I'm married to an Indonesian, right? My wife is Indonesian. It doesn't matter. If you're a foreigner, you're a guest here. We are guests in this beautiful island. We're lucky to be here. Make sure we act responsibly. Number one, follow the guidelines, follow the regulations. Don't buy a green thinking you can treat it as a yellow, right? Follow the guidelines, follow the regulations. And as was just said earlier on, there's big fines now, and they're catching people or imprisonment. Who wants that? No one wants that. So follow the rules. Tri hita karana. Raise your hand if you know what it means. Tri hita karana. Good. Raise your hand if you don't know what it means. Great. So here in Bali, it's a Balinese philosophy. One way to describe it is, the ways or the roads to happiness, to fulfillment. And it's the consideration of human to God, culture, customs, traditions, religion, human to the environment, regenerative systems, policies, and practices, and human to human. How do we create prosperity with each other? How do we create humility with each other, humility with nature, humility with religion, right? So these are the things that we need to know. So the final thing I want to say is thank you very much indeed. Robert, you've come all the way from Jakarta. Appreciate you. Brother Reda, all the way from Algeria. No, he lives in Bali, but he's my brother. Thank you very much indeed. Sister Sheila, it's a pleasure, my darling. Thank you for leaving your 2 dogs, 2 kids, and 6 cats to come and join us for an hour. Rasmus from Denmark, thank you very much indeed, guys. I look forward to seeing a lot more of you. And thank you to you. What an incredible audience you've been. Round of applause for yourselves. And I could pretty mess that one up. And a round of applause for Tropical Nomads. See you next week. Thank you very much.